Thanks to the support as a channel member, Austin Hartman. Oh, boys and girls, we have made it all the way through to the Carabao Cup final, which I think you'll agree, as far as English football is concerned, is the big one. This means a couple of things. Thing number one, a chance for a first piece of major silverware in the history of Burton Albion, and with it, the opportunity to qualify for Europe for the first time in the club's history. I'd quite like to win, please. Hello and welcome to Club 2, part 32 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a Premier League game away against Newcastle, and then we're off to Wembley to play Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final. And that's going to be easier said than done because Arsenal are top of the Premier League. And as you can see, since the last episode, we've started to drift down the Premier League. It wasn't the best January for us on the pitch. We drew with Liverpool. We got knocked out by Leicester in the FA Cup third round. So that route to silverware in Europe is now off the table. We did manage to get ourselves into the Carabao Cup final, beating Southampton home and away. But remember, Southampton are a championship club, so we absolutely should have done that. The only Premier League win we got was against Everton. We lost at home against Fulham, away against Arsenal, who we play in this final, then at home against Man City. So it's been a combination of we've played against some of the best teams in the league, Arsenal and Man City, and there's been a little bit of big game nerves. I think that's what we can put the Fulham defeat down to. We had that big semi-final coming up, and part of the reason we've not been massively competitive in these games, I think, is because we've got the big game on the horizon. It's quite common in Football Manager for your form in the league to drop off before a cup final, especially one that means a lot. And of course, for Burton Albion, a cup final of any kind means a lot. The only trophy, the only stuff they've ever won is non-league stuff. They made it to the FA Trophy final in 1987, but finished runners-up. Obviously, there have been league title wins, the Championship, League One, League Two, the National League, but actual trophies, they've never even won a Johnson's Paint trophy. The Carabao Cup would be huge for Burton Albion. Fingers crossed. We've also done a little bit of transfer business. Obviously, January is a thing that happened, and you'll be aware that our goalkeeper got injured in the last episode. So our priority was signing a new one, and we've potentially signed a better one. We have another legitimate wonder kid at the club. Mathias Hansen is a Danish international. He's only 20 years old. He's 6'3", and he's not quite as eccentric as Quintana, who is now too old to be a wonder kid. So we still just have the one wonder kid goalkeeper at the club. Quintana is still injured at the moment, but once he's fit, we are going to have a decision to make, because we have two players who've been promised football who are both pretty good. As you can see, Hansen is a better shot stopper, but Quintana, Quintana's not as good, is he? The only thing he's got is eccentricity. Weirdly, Quintana at 6'1" is better aerially than 6'3" Hansen, but Hansen's a better shot stopper, got better mentals, better communication. They're the same for distribution. It's going to be a shame if poor old Quintana, who was such an exciting signing and I was really happy with, loses his spot and never gets it back again because he picked up an injury. Well, to be fair, he's a goalkeeper and he did break his arm. It does say that he's a championship player and Hansen's a Premier League player, so Hansen's definitely an upgrade, but it will be a shame to be done with Quintana this quickly. But football moves quickly, boys and girls, and we've got a new goalkeeper in town. But first, we need to play Newcastle. We'll worry about the Carabao Cup in a minute. You can see Quintana is now fit and up on the bench as well. We've just had a little bit of a gap since the last game. He wasn't fit for the Manchester City game, but he is fit now. So he is back and on the bench, and he's just going to have to get used to it. So this is the team for the Newcastle game. It's Hansen in goal, who does also allow us to play my preferred sweeper keeper as well, which Quintana couldn't do. So that's another advantage that Hansen's got. So Hansen in goal, a back row of Sousa, Smith, Kubasi and Pajoy, Homo and Oscar in midfield, Amahor, Devine and O'Donoghue supporting Leeburn up front. Quintana's not been the only injury either. We've had quite a few injuries. Suarez has been injured for a little while. Daniels has been injured. Angelo is still injured. We've got a couple of other guys who are returning from injuries. Kubasi himself was injured for a little while. So we've had a little bit of a mini injury crisis, but we are coming back to full fitness. And obviously it would be nice to get a little bit of a confidence booster immediately before the League Cup final. Plus, we want to kind of address this slide down the table that we're currently suffering. At one point, we were second in the league and actually had an opportunity to go top of the league not so long ago. But we have now drifted down to ninth place. And to be fair, a mid-table finish would be absolutely fine for us this season. We were supposed to attempt to avoid relegation in order to get the money out of the board to be allowed to sign Hansen. I did have to promise mid-table. I was tempted to go top half, but wasn't quite brave enough to say top half, and I'm glad I didn't now that we've tumbled down the league a little bit. But we did have to promise something better than a 12th or 13th place finish to get Hansen in. So if we continue to fall down the league and end up finishing in 14th, 15th place, I might be in trouble. I don't think I would be, but might be. Would Hansen be worth that? Who knows? If he saves this free kick, he probably is. It's quite central. It's usually a little bit harder to score when they're this central, but it is Kimmich, who I guess is quite good at doing a football. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He'll do that from anywhere, apparently. It's 1-0 to Newcastle just before half-time. And I don't really get how this Newcastle team is below us in the table, because if you look at the players that they've got as part of this team, they've got Osimhen, obviously they've got Kimmich, who's just scored that goal. They've still got Grimares. We've looked at the Newcastle team relatively recently. Inacio is someone I always buy in my rebuilds because he's really, really good. I mean, this is a Newcastle team that should be in the Champions League. I don't really know how they're in the bottom half of the table. If they want to sack their manager and maybe give me a job, it looks like it would be quite good fun to go manage them, but I suspect that's not likely to happen, especially if we lose against them here. But we are still 5 points above them. We might just check in on what the situation is with Newcastle and why they're doing as poorly as they are. But we are going to come out for the second half attacking, because obviously if I can deliver Burton a trophy, I think delivering them a trophy and then walking out is fair, isn't it? We picked them up in League Two, leave 5 years later with them in the Premier League and a major trophy and European football to come. Obviously, I would like to lead the team into Europe, but at the same time, I don't want to do it from the Pirelli. So a lot is riding on what happens with our stadium situation, and we just don't know at the moment. The glitchy, weird inbox messages we got back in the summer, there's still never been any real clarification on them. My suspicion is we're going back to the Pirelli when it's finished, and Miles Leaburn has just snuck one under the goalkeeper. I have no idea how he scored that. That is a 20th goal of the season for a man whose star rating wise is now the worst player in our squad. Really shouldn't be able to cut it at Premier League level. I mean, I remember questioning whether he could step up to the Championship, but it's not just his size, because I think we've mentioned his size before. That was a finish that was all technique, and he just continues to defy expectation. The man's a 2.5-star player. We've supposedly got 5 strikers better than him. Pocho is supposedly better than him. But you cannot argue with that goal return in his 2 seasons in the Premier League. I know sometimes you just get players who people think I'm a star rating merchant. He's your proof I'm not. Because sometimes you get players who just absolutely defy the star rating and end up playing above it. And I mean, I guess attribute rascals might look at him and tell me why. I mean, I guess if you look at the attributes for him as a target forward, there's nothing he can't do. So attribute-wise, I guess it does make sense that he's doing as well as he is. But like I say, doesn't have the star rating to back it up, which always makes me a little bit sad. We're going to bring on Debye, who we signed so many right-backs in the summer. Debye is probably going to be leaving us this coming summer. I think he'll probably get chalked up as a failure in the end, which is a little bit of a shame because he was so good for us in the Championship. And if we could have afforded to get him when he was still with us on loan and bring him in permanently last year, he'd probably be fully established as a nailed-on starter for us by now. But he came in as part of a summer where we deliberately signed Daniels, who's ended up as a right-back, accidentally signed Padjoy, who I thought was going to be a midfielder, but has played most of his games at right-back, And we've gone from it being a weakness in the squad to an area where we've got an enormous amount of depth, and Dubai just isn't getting the game time. I guess the one positive is the fact that he is still only 20 years old, so he's got time to improve. But if someone will give us back our £20 million for him, I'm pretty sure we can invest it in areas that will be more beneficial to the squad than a second or third choice right back, which is effectively what he is now. And that's a frustratingly good goal from Newcastle. Further demonstration that there's absolutely no way they should be hanging out in the bottom half of the table. Lovely turn from Gordon, lovely finish. And we are heading into the final 10 minutes, as we have in all of our games recently, chasing a goal. We only lost to Arsenal and Manchester City by the odd goal. So we're not a million miles away from these teams. I think we've shown that over the course of the season as a whole. We're not a million miles behind these top clubs, but we're not quite on their level. And our little injury crisis that we've suffered has caused us some problems. And this will be 4 consecutive Premier League defeats, which is it's the territory where you start questioning things and start fiddling with tactics if you're not careful. And that is not the kind of form we want to be in going into the Carabao Cup final. Stanis had the opportunity there to grab a late equaliser. Are we sending Hansen forward? He's 6'3". Hansen is forward for the 92nd minute corner. Cross comes in. It's nowhere near Hansen. He's now absolutely legging it to try and get back. He has made it back. Solari has been quite comfortable with that. And we've still got a couple of minutes to try and grab a goal. He's slotting it into the danger area, but there's nobody there. And Newcastle scramble it clear, and Victor Osimhen can beat Kubasi in the air relatively comfortably and takes the sting out of what could have been a sustained period of pressure for us at the end of the match there. It wasn't. We've lost again. And we've had the unwilling to experiment message. Now, this puts me in a bit of a pickle because I've played enough Football Manager to know that when you get the unwilling to experiment message, the game will make you keep losing until you change. So the logic tells me now to change. However, I don't really want to change for the Carabao Cup final because our form in that has been good, and I don't want to experiment with a new system in a final at Wembley. I think whatever happens, we're going in and getting beaten. We probably do have to experiment. There's no way we win a game sticking with the same tactic when we've had that email message. I was worried it was going to be coming. It's here. We did have it briefly last season. There was a period where we started changing things around. A little bit earlier in the season, you can see we switched to a 4-3-3. We did a 4-2-4 for a bit, and then eventually came back round to the 4-2-3-1, and that was the form that ended up saving us coming back to this system. So I suspect we're going to have to go through a similar thing this year and maybe spend the next 4, 6, 8 games trying a few different tactics out before we can loop back round to the 4-2-3-1 again. Once the game is forgotten, we're not allowed to win with it, and charge on towards the end of the season. It's rubbish timing because now we're probably going to lose against Arsenal. Well, here we go then. It is Carabao Cup final day, and I am changing to a 4-3-3. I mean, I don't know if this is even the right thing to do. It didn't particularly work last season. We do have a 4-2-4 that we've trained as well, but we don't really have enough strikers to be able to do it. I mean, we could potentially play Lieburn and Solari, I guess, together up front, but it's completely untried. At least Devine and Alonso and Oscar have all played together before, and those 3 attackers have played together before. I think we're in for an absolute pounding today, and I'm not looking forward to it. So it's Hansen in goal, a back four of Ionita, Smith, Kubasi and Pajoy. Oscar at the base of the midfield with Alonso and Devine ahead of him. Stanis and O'Donoghue out wide, and Lieburn playing up front. I can only hope that Arsenal have got bigger fish to fry and are putting a rotated team out for the Carabao Cup final. I suspect that's not the case. Looking at that team, that's probably a full-strength team, and they're probably quite happy to come out here and pick up a piece of silverware. Interesting that they've got Saliba playing at right back. Maybe Stanis might have a little bit of joy with him playing out of position at right back. Although that being said, we're like 8 years in the future. He might have been playing right back for the last 7 years, for all I know. That might be what he is in this world. I'm not feeling mega confident about this match. It's our first time at Wembley, I think. I mean, Burton Albion fans, correct me. You probably have been to Wembley in a playoff final or something before. Certainly our, as in this series' first trip to Wembley. and we want to enjoy it. But at the same time, we're not in very good form. And I feel like we might be about to get sad. Leeburn has the first opportunity to try and break the deadlock, and it goes just over. And it is Arsenal picking things up again from the resultant goal kick. And they're faffing around a little bit with the ball here. If we could try and close them down and cause them some problems, that would be super duper. They're passing it around us relatively comfortably. Or Smith steps forward there and intercepts, and it's all the way back to Hansen, and now back with Kabasi. So now we're trying to build it out from the back, and it's Oscar forward to Devine to Stanis, who's got a little bit of space to run into in this area that we did target as a potential route to success, and it is a route to success. And Rodrigo Alonso playing in actual central midfield, probably for his first time in a Burton shirt. He is actually a natural central midfielder. We've forced him into being a defensive midfielder all these years. But similar to Alfie Devine, this actually probably does get the best out of both of those two, playing in the actual central midfield positions that we've never really used before. They're both keen to burst out of the midfield, and Alonso gets us the goal to put us 1-0 up in the Carabao Cup final against Arsenal. Stop the count now. Give us the trophy. Arsenal don't need another one. They win loads of stuff. We'd quite like to win a trophy, not just because winning a trophy is awesome, but that's the main reason. Winning a trophy is awesome. But of course, this guarantees us Europe for next year, which takes an awful lot of pressure off from the Premier League, because we're not going to get relegated. So it's kind of like job done this season. Let's start planning for next year if we can hold on. And that is a big if, because there is still a lot of this football match to go. And Arsenal, once again, trying to build it out from the back, and Leeburn trying to make a nuisance of himself. There's obviously one less player in our attack to press the Arsenal defence compared to what they normally would be. And they're passing it around us relatively comfortably. If somebody could get a foot in at some point, that would be jolly nice. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. They are just, they've just passed us off the pitch there. What a goal. It's very sad, but we never got near them. At any point during that move, we were nowhere near them. And they've just passed it completely through us, and then basically passed it into the back of the net as well. They had one defender back for that move, but they're just so comfortable. Yeah, that was all too easy for them. And I suspect we might have a little bit of a problem in this second half. It's 1-1 though, as we hit half time. We're still in it. And that's been I mentioned before, that's been the trademark, if you like, of our run of bad form. Nobody's thrashed us. We've not lost by more than one goal. We still look like a good team. We've played a lot of good teams in a row, and we're not getting a huge amount of luck go our way at the moment. I wonder if the Premier League is finally catching up with Miles Leeburn, although, to be fair, you saw in the last match that he's still scoring it way ahead of what he should be for a player of his ability. So it's a little bit harsh to suggest that that's where the blame might lie. But see, giving away a penalty in a final is not fun. Hansen's got an opportunity to make himself a hero very early on in his Burton career here. If he can save this penalty, he's filling a lot of that goal. And he does save the penalty. He doesn't just save it, he's caught it. What a moment, catching a penalty in a final. That will hopefully give us the boost that we need to go on and make the unthinkable happen in the rest of this match. It's Arsenal on the attack again, though. Hansen's been the best player in our team, apart from Stanis. Stanis is the best player on the pitch, but Hansen is not a million miles behind him. Right, we're going to take off Leeburn. Amayor is going to get the chance to actually play in his preferred position. We're also going to take off O'Donoghue, and Solari is going to come on for him. And then for the final change, I think we take off. See, we're running out of fullbacks. This is the problem that we've got. I think we'll take off Pajoy and bring on Dubai. But Ionita, it's not ideal that he's on the pitch really in this situation. But we're like I say, we are still in the midst of an injury crisis, and it's still very much affecting us as well. We've not had a lot of luck recently, but if we can have all of the luck that we've been saving up in the last 10 minutes of this match, that works for me. Stannis has picked up a knock, which is problematic because he's, like I say, been our best player. But Adala can come on the other wing for him. Oscar is tiring as well now. We have got Zaruki who could come on and play at the base of the midfield. Actually, I think Lewis Jackson is probably the better bet. And then we can move Kabasi forward, and Jackson can just slot in at the back, and it gives us that extra little bit of defensive protection. If we do manage to grab a goal, we can drop Kabasi back in to make a 5 at the back, which will probably be quite sensible. That being said, can we get the ball out of our penalty area, please, boys? I love the fact that you're confident on the ball, but now is not the time. You realise we're at Wembley right now, right? Just go and do a football, please. Ayanita to Divine, and now Solari. Somebody has the chance to make themselves a hero here. It's Dubai bursting into the area. Just slide it across. He does. And Amo Amayor has grabbed us potentially a winner. The referee's having a look at it. I have absolutely no idea what VAR are going to say about it. The Arsenal players don't look happy at all. VAR has awarded the goal. An 83rd minute, potentially, winner. Oh, my word. Right. We'll just have a look at the replay and then enact the plan. I've got to put my money where my mouth is now, haven't I? What we might do is make Kabasi a halfback rather than dropping him back into the back four completely. But just have it so that he drops back in to cover there when needed, and Alonso can take up the mantle of being the playmaker. But other than that, we won't fiddle. We'll just leave things as they are, and we'll let Kabasi just drop back in and help the back four out for these final few minutes as Arsenal throw men forward. We are in the lead in a Wembley final as we head towards injury time at the end of the match. I'm not coming off a positive mentality. I'm no coward. I regret the fact I've made the change that I've made. It's kind of inviting Arsenal onto us, which we don't want to do. But at the same time, I can't say it and then not do it, can I? Because then I look like a bit of a plum. Hansen can't find Divine. It was a situation where we don't really want him picking the pass, just lump it forward. Maybe we should have put him onto normal goalkeeper instructions for these last few minutes. But it's all well and good saying that now. There's 5 minutes to go, though. It's far too late to change it now. Offside, ref? Come on, ref. Come on, referee. Please help us out. We can't go into the lead again. We just don't have it in us. He has disallowed it. What a man that referee is. Right, we're going to switch Hansen onto being a normal goalkeeper. No picking your passes now. If you get the ball, just lump the ball. I love the fact you're a sweeper keeper most of the time, but for today, just keep it away from the goal. And we have won the Carabao Cup, the finest trophy in association football. Look at us. Ask a Manchester United fan. They'll tell you how much of a big deal the Carabao Cup is. Oh, my word. The aliens have joined us to celebrate it as well. And we have actually seen this a little bit over on Twitch. The aliens, although they are pretty much gone, the one time they come back is trophy celebrations. I don't know why, but I guess it's fine. And we have won the Carabao Cup. We have our first ever piece of major silverware. We are in Europe. I said a few episodes ago I'd taken Burton as far as I can, and now we've taken them a little bit further again. Surely now we've taken them as far as we can. We have a trophy. We have a cartwheel. What a day to be a Burton Albion fan. Look at us go. We have won the Carabao Cup, which means we're in Europe. Yes, the Burton fans are grateful. Of course they're grateful. Stannis inspired us. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I just want to see the confirmation that we are in Europe. We are in the Conference League next year. Miles Leaburn is the Premier League's top scorer as well, so I can stop being negative about him. What I did want to do is just check in on Newcastle's manager situation. They don't have one. We probably have to apply for the Newcastle job, don't we? I mean, my stocks, it's not on there. Hang on. Manchester United is available. Have they given it to Graham Carrick? No, he's an interim manager. So the Newcastle job is going to be available at the end of the season, I guess. They must have appointed him interim manager until the end of the season. So that is interesting. I'm looking at the wrong place. I don't particularly want the Manchester United job. If they were to offer it to me, I'd interview, but I don't think I'm applying for that one. However, Newcastle is appealing. Let's see what happens at the end of the season, I guess. But we've got a trophy. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.